a strange one. What is it? It's said that the entire ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, without exception, were all misguided when they accepted Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu as Amir al-Mu'mineen. That's strange. And we're going to come back to that. That the entire ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam was mistaken and misguided when they accepted Abu Umar Farooq as Amir al-Mu'mineen radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and Uthman Ghani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu as Amir al-Mu'mineen. This same movement of revolutionary dissent against corruption of the faith now tells us that no, it is Allah who decides who rules over this ummah. And in another word, that it is Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam who appointed in his lifetime, appointed his cousin as his successor, Ali radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And so succession to rule in Islam is by divine order restricted to the family of the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. Family rule, family rule. Imam Hosein radiyallahu ta'ala anhu stood up at Karbala against family rule. And the head which bowed in worship before Allah refused to bow before family rule. And so now we have the beginnings of a sectarian movement. The major matter which divides the Shia from the rest is this new doctrine that the succession to rule in Islam was divinely ordained, was communicated by the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, and was restricted to the family of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. When Imam al-Mahdi comes, of course, then everything is going to be cleared up. And there will be no misunderstandings anymore. But even before he comes, it is possible for this lecture to address the subject. What is the truth? Those who chose to believe in this new doctrine, this strange new doctrine, that succession to rule in Islam is divinely ordained and was communicated by the Prophet ﷺ to be restricted to his family, they came to be known as Syiah, because they now constituted the first sectarian movement. What a tragedy, what a tragedy. That this movement which stood up against corruption, stood up against tyranny and oppression with much less courage and much less integrity, should now be taken for a ride. What a tragedy. If this speaker is correct, and of course those who held to the position that the Ummah was correct when they appointed Abu Bakr Siddiq and Umar Farooq and Uthman Ghani as Khulafa that they were correct. These now came to be known as Sunni. The term Sunni is used in this lecture to refer to those. This doesn't have any doctrinal beliefs in it here. This is the Ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. The united Ummah with no difference, none. Everybody hold on to this view. These are called Sunni now. So when we speak of the Shia, the Sunni, this is what we're talking about, this doctrinal division. If this speaker is correct, that the mastermind who took them for a ride was Dajjal, we now must ask the question, why did he do it? What is his scheme? What is his plan? And my answer is that his ultimate plan is to use this division in the Ummah to his advantage in AkhirZAMAN, and that his plan is about to unfold. In fact, it is already unfolding. That his plan is to bring about civil war between Shia and Sunni. That's his plan. The Sunnis may not be aware of it, the Shia may not be aware of it, but I am aware of it. Why does he want to bring about civil war? Number one, at a time when the Zionists are waging war on Islam, particularly since 9/11, and they're doing it so that Dajjal may be able to move from stage 2 to stage 3. This book, Jerusalem in the Quran, explains the subject. Some of you have read the book. We have it in Bahasa as well. But don't tell me you bought it, said, but Sheikh, I didn't get the time to read it as yet. Because the events are unfolding now, which is there in this book 10 years ago. He wants to bring about a change in the rulership of the world. That the United States of America must be brought down, so that Israel will replace the United States as the next ruling state in the world. And so a day which is like a month will come to an end. If you find this language strange, it's because you have not read this book. And a day which is like a week will now commence. And during the time of a day like a week, the world which had experienced Pax Britannica and then Pax Americana, but of course there's no Pax, it's only deceit and war, will now experience Pax Judaica, the rule of Israel. In order for Israel to rule the world, and for Dajjal to eventually emerge in curly hair, meaning the curls coming down on the side, not curly hair on top, and standing up in Jerusalem and declaring, I am the Messiah, which is probably about 20-25 years from now. When I give opinion, I can be wrong, you know that. In order for Israel to rule the world, Israel has to rule over the Arabs. We spoke about that last night. And this booklet, where is it? Here we are. Medina returns to center stage in AkhirZAMAN. This was my topic last night in Subang Jaya. And we have this book in Bahasa, and we have this book in Bahasa, outside. Israel has to impose its political and economic dominion over the Arabs. as a preliminary to ruling over the world. Secondly, Israel has to impose her political and economic dominion over the Muslims, the entire world of Islam. And so Israel will have to wage war. We know for certain that one of the wars that Israel is going to wage is on Egypt. Oh yes. And when those fools with a capital F, I hope they're listening to me, made the alliance with the Zionist NATO to bring down Gaddafi, who was opposed to the Zionists, those absolute fools who said that they were mujahideen, in bringing down Gaddafi with the help of NATO, now made Libya a NATO state. NATO is in charge, but they don't know it. Fools with a capital F. And so when the attack comes on Egypt, Egypt doesn't have a chance now. Because Israel will attack from the east, and NATO will attack from the west, and Egypt will be sandwiched in between. We know that's coming. We know that Israel wants to destroy Pakistan's nuclear plants and nuclear weapons and break up Pakistan. We know that. We know that Israel wants to attack Syria, bring about regime change in Syria so that Syria could become another Libya. And those fools who were so foolish in Libya are equally foolish or even more foolish in Syria. And I'm not talking about the Mujahideen in Syria who have no links with the Zionists, none, and who would rather die than take a penny from Saudi Arabia, who have no links with Saudi Arabia, no links with Qatar, no links with Jordan, nothing at all, and who are struggling in Syria. I am not speaking about them, not at all. I'm talking about these fools who say they are mujahideen and who are in alliance with NATO to bring down this Syrian regime. These are the ones I'm talking about. We're expecting that since they have not succeeded so far, they're going to wage war on Syria. It is in this scenario that we now want to introduce how Dajjal is going to exploit the Sunni Shia division to his advantage in AkhirZAMAN. The answer is, he wants to provoke Sunni Shia civil war. That's what he wants to provoke. If he can succeed in provoking Sunni Shia civil war in the world of Islam, what would be the benefit for him and for the Zionists? Number one, Islam is going to look terrible before the entire world on the stage of the world. Look at these Muslims at a time when they are back to the wall, fighting for their very lives. Look at how foolish the Muslims are fighting amongst themselves. Islam is going to look so bad that whatever sentiment there may be in the world sympathetic towards Muslims, even that might be lost. And that will be tremendously advantageous to Israel and to the Zionists and to their propaganda war in CNN and Al Jazeera and the newspapers and the television sets. You can just imagine. They're going to have a field day laughing at the Muslims who are fighting amongst themselves at this time. Number two, Dajjal will consider it advantageous to provoke a Sunni Shia war, because such a war will weaken both the Sunni and the Shia.